wants to do it, kid.
Hey, you guys, you gotta let me in.
Jerk alert.
Now what?
It's Chum.
I just saw the most amazing thing in my entire life.
First, you gotta do the truffle shuffle.
Come on.
Do it.
Come on.
Do it.
Cut it out, Mouse.
Good morning, every fucking human that's listening. What's going on? I hope you like that. I thought that was a perfect piece of audio to throw in the beginning because when I was a kid, I had this fat little friend named Cameron, and he was like the chubby kid of the friend group. And my dad is the one that turned me on to the term truffle shuffle. So after my dad said that to him one time when we were like super young, we had to be like 8 years old. I used to tell him to do the truffle shuffle all the time. So I thought that it was perfect because Cameron is going to be talked about in this episode. So Cameron, do the fucking truffle shuffle.
Who is that nasty?
Zach will kill you and fuck your bitch.
People pay $1 million for one drop of my sperm.
That is right. That's right. Here I am again recording. I really like the fucking recording schedule I got going. I have so many episodes that I'm kind of sitting on. So I'm going to try to stray away from talking about relevant things in podcasts that are in episodes that aren't going to be uploaded for another few weeks. Because this episode I'm recording right now isn't going to be uploaded, I think, for probably 3 weeks. So, yeah, that's how many episodes I'm sitting on. So I like that. I got ammunition, and I'm fucking ready to just blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so I got a quick little story that just brought a smile to my face when I thought about it the other day, and I thought I couldn't not talk about it. So here it is. I grew up in a trailer park. And anybody that wants to know the name, Countryside Mobile Home Park on Old Military Road on the east side of Bremerton. Go check it out. I don't even know what it's like anymore. Last time I was there, I was 13, I think, is when I moved out, or when we moved out. So it's been a really long time, but let me tell you, when I was growing up there, it was like the stereotypical trailer park, fucking people riding dirt bikes all over the place, quads, fucking little kids without any clothes on riding their bikes around, babies in diapers just fucking roaming, you know, trashy, right? Pretty trashy place. But I mean, even though we lived in a trailer park, we still had, my dad upkept our property and our trailer like very well. And it's pretty obvious where I get my like OCD cleaning and keeping things organized. I definitely get that from my dad. If you came over to my apartment, you'd understand everything has a place, everything's in order, and it's all nice and organized. And that bothers a lot of people, but it bothers me to not have everything in my life organized. Anyway, so there's a lot of influence that I took from the trailer park growing up. And I remember, growing up with all the older teenagers that were around at the time. They kind of took us young kids under their wing, I guess, and kind of showed us the ropes of how to be a trailer park kid. and yeah, I'm not going to talk about the shit they made us do. I talk about that in a previous episode. If you want to listen to some traumatizing shit that my friends had to go through, like touching their little wieners together, like tip to tip as like children. They were forced to do that by these older teenage boys, and Cameron was one of them, and Timothy was the other one, and they squished their fat little chodes together, and I don't even know what that did to me as a child. Probably not as much as it did to them. I don't know. Maybe Tim's gay. Maybe Cameron's gay. But he has a child. So, I mean, he liked pussy for a little bit. And it's so weird. Like, no trash talking or anything. But it's so, like human psychology is when you sit back and I look at how people have turned out that I grew up with from an outside perspective. Like, I remember all these kids that were in the trailer park when I was there, and I remember the kids that, you know, we never talked to, the kids that we thought were weird. And one of those girls is Cameron's baby mama, which I wish them all the best, and I hope that they're doing fantastic. But when you look at it the way I look at it, like, man, I remember her being, you know, just a little running around the trailer park bothering us older kids, because we were a few years older. And to learn that later on in life Cameron had a child with her is just, it's so weird how things come around in a circle. And her dad is awesome though. His name's Brock. He used to teach us kids how to BMX. And fun fact, I actually ran into him later on in life when I was living with my mom and we were going through this weird, exciting, meth-filled binge that we were on, this homeless meth-filled binge. We ran into Brock at the Bethel bar, and it was a weird reunion because he kept staring at me and he was like, I know you from somewhere. And then he got to know me a little bit better and knew where I told him where I grew up, and he's like, no fucking way. And anyway, we ended up like smoking dope with him or something. Like that's such a weird thing to think about. I was like 8 years old, and this dude in his mid-20s was teaching me and my friends how to like do freestyle BMX, like off jumps and stuff like that. And little did he know that, you know, however many years later, he would be smoking dope with that same kid. Like, it's just fucking weird, man. And this life is strange. But one of my most fondest, or I shouldn't say that. I should say one of my most vivid memories of back then is hanging out with Cameron. And I never knew. I was a year older than him, and we didn't figure that out till older. That's besides the point. But we literally had trailers right across the street from each other. So my trailer faced his faced mine, and there was, you know, only like a 7-foot street in between. And we went to the same preschool. We went to kindergarten. And I remember being in like 3rd grade, and me and Cameron used to take the bus home, and we would do everything together. Like, we'd walk to our houses together. You know, he'd wait for me to get my stuff. I'd go over to his house, wait for him to get his stuff. Like, we were like a little team. And one of my most vivid memories is getting off the bus and going to Cameron's house, because he had one of the nicer trailers in the trailer park also. So because his mom, I don't mean to throw anybody out, I'm not going to say her name, I don't even remember her fucking name. Her mom, or his mom, had a slip and fall in a store some years before that, like probably like 10 years before that, and she got a pretty fat settlement. So she lived off that settlement for I don't even know how long. I don't know if she's still alive. I don't know if she's still living off the settlement. I have no idea. But she didn't have a job, and she was living off that settlement. So they had a decent little setup. And I remember going over to his house all the time and going in his room. And we would play 007 on the Nintendo 64. And I remember so vividly because I remember the golden gun. I remember being in like that bathroom area of 007 and like kicking open the doors and shooting people in the stalls. And so fucking vivid. Fritos or Cheetos, like those little snack bags. Cameron would go grab me and him a bag of chips and a Diet Coke because that's all his mom drank was Diet Coke. So I remember getting off school every day and having like Cheetos or a little bag of chips and a Diet Coke, even though I did not want Diet Coke, but who's gonna, I was raised better than that. I'm not gonna turn down free stuff, you know? And anyway, so as me and Cameron got a little bit older, we stopped playing 007 as much, right? And we'd go like cause trouble in the trailer park or whatever we were gonna do, hang out with our friends, and we started learning about, because me and Cameron were like together a lot when the older teenagers would take us and like make us go under trailers to find salamanders and steal cigarette butts and stuff like that. And they're the ones that got us into smoking. And I remember when we were like 8 or 9, it was one summer day, I was waiting for Cameron outside of his house because he had a big giant fence and he had some rowdy ass dogs. So you might get bit if you try to go over the fence. So I'd wait for him and he came out and he was like all happy and excited and we ran to the woods and I had no idea why. And he was like, I got a full cigarette. He had a full brand new cigarette. And this was like our first real full brand new cigarette, and we lit that bitch up and we were smoking it and we were like, damn, you know, it's so much better than just these nasty little cigarette butts. And I remember that sparked this whole thing of like Cameron stealing like half packs from his mom when she would like take a nap on the couch or something, and her cigarettes would be on the coffee table. He would just take the rest of the pack and shit like that. And I remember I remember this one time we were sitting in the woods and he had just like swiped a pack from his mom, and we were sitting in the woods and we were smoking and we were just bullshitting whatever kids do. And out of nowhere, you just hear his mom kick open the door, because we were like, 10, 20 yards behind his house. Kick open the fucking door and just start screaming, Cameron! Fucking pissed off, dude. And he went running home and I didn't see him for a few days. But there was this one time his mom had like a surgery or something like that, if I remember correctly. So she was like really hopped up on painkillers and she would sleep most of the day. And this was a day my dad was over at somebody else's house. So there was nobody at my house like watching across the street to see what we're doing. And one day he came out and he was like dangling car keys, and we were like, yo, nuh-uh, because his mom had this kind of cool little sporty car. I don't remember what it was. I think it was like a Mazda something. Little sporty coupe. And he gave me the keys and I got in the driver's seat and he got in the passenger seat. And we were just sitting in there for a while because I knew how to turn the car on and everything. And because I've driven my dad's 4x4 at this point. Like, he would let me sit on his lap and steer, and it was a stick shift, so I didn't get to shift or anything. But when we were like in like a high gear going straight down the road or something, he'd let me hit the gas and steer and try to get the full experience. So I kind of knew a little bit. So I turned the car on and we're listening to the radio and we're smoking the half-size cigarettes that are in the ashtray. And we're just laughing, and we have like this like adrenaline going because we're doing this really crazy thing we're not supposed to be doing. Like if his mom comes out, we're in hella trouble. So like all this shit is rushing through us, and we're all happy and giggly and laughing. And then we were like fucking around, and I turned the key even more and start the car, and he was like, no, dude. He was like slapping my hands and slapping me and shit, and I was like, yo, man, your mom's asleep. And then we started to think about it and talk about it, and we were like, man, how cool would we look if we pulled up to Emily's house, Emily and Tiffany's house right now, in a car. I was like, none of our friends drive cars, you know what I mean? We're all like 9 and 10 years old. And I remember going back and forth in the driveway. Like it was really easy to put it in gear, and I don't think I had it in actual drive. I think I had it in like low or something like that. And I would drive to the end of the driveway just straight, which was like 10 feet, and then put it in reverse and like slowly creep back. And dude, we would be laughing so uncontrollably hard. Just because it was so funny that we were doing this thing that we weren't supposed to be doing. You hear that? That is caffeine. And it was just like the thought of like getting caught, in this crazy moment. And after a few minutes, like 10, 15 maybe, we were, thinking like, we should maybe go down the street and just come right back. You know what I mean? We'll just come right back. It's not a big deal. The gas, there's plenty of gas in the car. I don't think she's going to notice. And so I pull out to the end of the driveway, and I hadn't gone farther than that yet. So it was like my heart, dude, was beating so hard, and it was like really hard to breathe. But I like tried to keep my composure, be cool. I remember like having my chest to the steering wheel and like looking and like using both my hands, just going back and forth. So fucking funny. And cause there was speed bumps in the trailer park, like after every couple houses there was a set of speed bumps for obvious reasons. And I remember going, and like when I first pulled out of the driveway, I went right to go down the hill. And the speed bump was coming up, and I accidentally slammed on the gas instead of the brake, and we fucking just hit that speed bump really fucking hard. And Cameron was like, dude, what are you doing? Whoa, come on, man, my mom. And we had to been going like 30 miles an hour on accident until I finally realized how I was able to completely slow the car down without just stopping on a dime. And we get to the second speed bump, and we're good. I'm like laughing with my chest at the steering wheel, and I go over the second set of speed bumps nice and slow. And we turn the corner because the trailer park's just a circle, with a road going down the far left, a road going down the middle, and the road going down the far right, which me and Cameron lived on the road going down the far right. So we were at the bottom of the circle, and we were going straight, and then we were going to turn left to go up the middle road to Tiffany and Emily's house. And we passed this kid named Austin's house, Austin and his sister Samantha. And I remember it so good because they were like out on their porch with their mom and dad doing something. I fucking did not like Austin or his family. They were all fucking trash. And we drove by like really slow, like laughing, and we like looked over at them, and it was like one of those moments in a movie, where they're just like at a loss for words. They're like, what in the fuck? These little tiny kids driving by in the car, and we're just laughing our asses off because we're going to get in so much trouble if we get caught. But everything's funny when you're a kid, you know? So anyway, we turn the corner and I start to slow down because I was like, man, let's light up some cigarettes. So it just like adds to the, you know, the whole vibe, you know? And, I mean, I didn't say that, but, you know, I was like, it was more like, let's smoke some cigarettes so we look cool while we're driving. And, we light up some like half cigarettes and we get to the middle road and, I forget that my dad is at this guy named John's house, which is like 2 trailers up from Tiffany and Emily. And, so we had to like calculate, you know, because I got halfway up the road and I saw my dad's car, like parked half in and half out of the street. And I was like, oh, fuck. If my dad catches me, he's going to beat my ass. And so we had to like calculate, you know, I was like, all right, if I see somebody, I'm just going to pull in this driveway, you know, and then we'll get out and then we'll run back home. And then Cameron's like, dude, but we can't leave my mom's car. And, so we were pretty much like, fuck it. We went up and we get to Emily's and I turn into the grass, not even the driveway. I turn into the neighbor's grass and I just like park literally like a foot away from their trailer. And I mean, I did not know how to drive at all. And we get out, I pull the keys out, we go up to Emily's door and we knock. And they answer and they come out and they're like, I was like, I don't remember exactly what we said, but we were like, hey, you know, kind of, you want to see something? And we walk out to the driveway and look over and the car's like super fucking crooked in the grass in the neighbor's yard. And I mean, I thought it was good at the time, but looking back now, it's just so pathetic. And I'm honestly surprised I didn't crash into anything. And they were just like, at first they were confused. They didn't know we drove until I pulled out the keys. And then we walked over to the car and I started it. And Cameron hopped in the passenger really quick. And then he was like trying to shove me. He's like, let me drive now. Trying to show off for the girls, you know. He's like, let me drive. I was like, fuck you. I was like, you don't know what you're doing. You know, get off of me, you know. And we ended up hanging out at Emily's and Tiffany's for a while. We smoked and we were just kind of like hanging out around the car, listening to the radio kind of loud. And I remember briefly or slightly remember, I look over like these hedges that were in front of the trailer and I see my dad like with a couple other people. And I remember looking because I heard his laugh. It's like a like really like something hysterical happened and it was loud as fuck and I heard it and I looked and I was like, oh shit, my heart started racing again. And I was like, fuck man, if he sees me down here, he's going to come and say hi or something. And then he's going to wonder what Cameron's mom's car is doing right there. You know, I mean, he's lived across the street from that car for years. He knows whose car it is. He knows what it looks like. He knows where it belongs. So after a little while, my dad ended up like walking farther back onto their property and couldn't see us anymore. I couldn't see him, so I thought we were good. And Emily and Tiffany left. Me and Cameron got back in the car, and I was trying to figure out how to leave, you know, because when we were in the driveway, I had put the car in reverse just to go straight back and straight forward and straight back. And it was in a weird angle in a weird spot. And I was like really fucking nervous, dude. And I was like, how do I get the car out of here? Because there was like shrubbery to the right, like on the right side of the car, the passenger side. So I couldn't just like crank the wheel right and just drive through bushes. And the neighbor's trailer wasn't necessarily like a mobile home. It was more like a fifth wheel that was just parked on a lot. So there was a little more space on their property to like move around and stuff. So I just went straight beside their trailer, went around it, and then drove through their yard on the other side by their pool. Like I drove between their fifth wheel and the little inflatable pool they had set up. Didn't hit a fucking thing. Drove through and got back onto the street and then took a left to go up and pass my dad. And by mistake, I went left. I was supposed to go right and just go back to Cameron's mom's house. And we went left. And I didn't even realize until we were like almost there. And I was like, what are we doing? Fuck. And so we had like an idea to like duck down, which wasn't going to be hard for us because we were already really small. We just didn't want anybody to see us, not realizing how suspicious it would be to watch a car drive by that nobody's driving. And so Cameron ducks down when we get in front of the house, and I kind of try to hit the gas, but I didn't want to go fast like we did before, so I barely press it. I'm barely pressing the gas. And I like lean my head to the left up against the door, hoping nobody sees me. And me and Cameron are laughing uncontrollably again because we're about to get busted. And we drove past and we didn't get caught. And I was like, no fucking way. We get to the top of the hill and I was like, bro, we could just drive around all day, you know? So we took a right and we went to the far left street, the first street, and we went down because we wanted to like show off for all the kids that were out and about playing and, you know, riding bikes and skateboards, whatnot. So we were like driving around real slow, smoking cigarettes. I think like Ludacris or something like that was on the radio. So it was, it's really embarrassing thinking about it now, but it's fucking awesome at the same time. And it's so ironic that I was talking about Raven because I remember driving by Raven's house and she was outside like on rollerblades or something. I don't even remember, but she was outside and she was, when you're a kid and another kid is a couple years younger than you, they feel like babies, right? So we thought we were like so cool, so badass, driving around, and then we get to the bottom of the hill, and then we drive down to go to the first street again and go up the road that we came down the first time. And we light up some more cigarettes, going really slow, like 2 or 3 miles an hour. And we get to in front of Austin's house again. And at this point, I didn't think we were going to get busted. I didn't think we were going to get in trouble. So my confidence was a little high and I was a little cocky. And that's just the kind of kid I was anyway. Just, you know, a young, cocky little shithead. And we get in front of Austin's house again. And everybody's still out on the porch. And I stop the car. And me and Cameron are kind of just sitting there taking puffs from our cigarette, like looking at him. Not saying anything, just looking. And Austin's mom goes, she says something bitchy like, you're supposed to be in that car? And we just look, and then Cameron was like, my mom doesn't fucking care. Not like you, or something like that. Just being snarky little shitheads. And she wanted to make it very clear that we weren't going to get away with this and we were going to be in big trouble. She was like, I'm going to fucking tell both of your parents and you're going to be grounded and all this other shit. And we were kind of just like, fuck you, lady. You know, go eat a dick, you know, kind of shit. We were punks. And so anyway, we get back up the street and I don't know how to reverse very well. And I didn't mention this, but Cameron's mom is backed into the driveway, not just pulled straight in facing the house, but the rear is facing the house. And I didn't even think about it at the time. But we get there, and then I'm like, damn, how is your mom's car facing out? I was like, how do I get the car like that? And then I was like, reversing. I was like, I could go backwards. but I was like, I don't know how to steer backwards. You know, it's opposite. And like when I tried by Emily's house, like I would go right, it would go left. I went left, it would go right. And I was just really confused. And I was like starting to get nervous. Like, fuck, if we don't put the car back how it was, someone's going to know. And me and Cameron kind of argued about it for a while. And then I was like, if I can't do it, then I'm just going to make you do it, Cameron. And Cameron was like, I don't know. You know, when he started like getting a little cryish, you know, like tears coming out. And he's like, I just don't know, man. I can't drive and all this shit, getting scared because we thought we were going to get busted now. But I like try to like, I'm like taking a big turn into the driveway. So I like make a really wide turn. And I almost hit this fire hydrant that's out inside or out front of Cameron's trailer. I almost, dude, I don't know how. I took a super wide turn and I still almost scraped that fire hydrant. But I pulled into the driveway facing the house opposite of what the car was before. And I was like, man, I don't know how to get it backwards. I remember saying that, like, I can't get it backwards. I don't know how to get it backwards. And then me and Cameron kind of just said, fuck it. We left the windows down. The radio was blaring when we turned the car off. Cigarette ashes everywhere, maybe a few cigarette butts on the floor. And then I give Cameron the car keys, and he takes them back into his house and puts them back. His mom's still passed out. I mean, we were only gone for a few hours. And he comes back outside, and we go over to my house, and we're just chilling in the living room playing on the PlayStation 2. I think we were playing like MX versus ATV Unleashed or something like that. Or maybe no, it was the PS1. Some PS1 ATV MX game, something like that. Not important. And like we were there for like an hour, maybe hour and a half. My dad came home to make lunch and shit. And Austin's mom starts walking up the street because we have these big windows in the front of the trailer and, you know, you can see the street. And I happened to notice Austin's mom walking up the street, and I started to get fucking nervous. I was like, no. And then me and Cameron went to my room, and my room has a window right next to the front door. So I slid the window open just a little bit, like I cracked it to hear what they were going to say, because I already knew she was coming to my house. She went to Cameron's house first, but of course nobody answered because you can't knock on the fucking front door because you got to get through the dogs first. So she stood there for a little while, came over to my house. My dad's cooking lunch, like making sandwiches or whatever he's doing, or Totino's frozen pizzas or some shit. And she knocks on the door. My dad answers it, and he's like, I can imagine he's kind of confused because he does not talk to this lady. He doesn't associate with this person. So he's like, yeah, can I help you? And she's like, yeah, I thought you'd like to know that your little son and his friends were driving around the trailer park in a black car. And my dad's like, are you, what? He's like, where the fuck would they get a car? Kinda. Like, he started to get defensive and defending us. And she was like, I just saw him a couple of hours ago driving with his friends, smoking cigarettes. Just being a total Karen before being a Karen was a thing. Or before we called it being a Karen, right? And long story short, basically my dad told her to eat a dick, fuck off, called her a bitch and all this other shit. He loved the word cunt. I remember him saying that a few times to his wife as well as that bitch that day. And it was awesome because my dad did not believe a fucking word she said. He was like, dude, my son's been at home playing video games all day. I don't know what kind of drugs you're on. You're fucking crazy. You ever come to my fucking property again and I'm gonna drop kick you in the chest. Kind of shit. And me and Cameron were like in the room, like we were like high-fiving. We're all getting hyped in each other's face. We're like, yeah. And my dad comes in all pissed off. He like opens the door hella hard. slams it open. He's like, you want something? You got something to fucking tell me? And I was like, what? I was like, who was that? And he was like, some fucking crazy bitch down the street said that you and your little fucking friends were driving a car. I was like, a car? I was like, I wish. I was like, trying to play it off so cool and calm, you know what I mean? I was like, Dad, you know the last time I drove a car is when you let me drive your 4x4. And he was like, kind of just sitting there, you know, mean mugging, shaking his head. And then he was like, all right, okay, that's what I thought. And then he gave us lunch, went back to his friend's house. Me and Cameron fucking were like so stoked, talking all this shit. And we never got in trouble. We never got busted. Cameron's mom, I guess, never fucking realized that her car was backwards in the driveway and it was just a mess and the radio was fucking loud and off the station she had it on. And I guess she was just too fucked up on painkillers that whole time to even realize. She was probably like, man, I need to park my car better next time, you know, or something like that. And we were kind of bragging about it to our friends for the next few days. And I feel like somewhere is a printed photo of me, Cameron, Emily, and Tiffany, like posing in front of the car, because we used to take pictures with disposable cameras, get the pictures printed, and then bury them in time capsules. So somewhere in that trailer park is buried a bunch of pictures of me and my friends and little trinkets. I remember putting weed and a little wood pipe in one of the time capsules. And I really wish I could go and dig up some of those time capsules and just look at those photos, because I don't think I'll ever see those photos again, which is a big fucking bummer. Those are some of the best memories I have from being a child, you know, being a careless kid. And yeah, that was it. That was the time me and Cameron stole his mom's car while she was passed out on painkillers, and we drove around the trailer park to look like a couple of little badass kids that knew what the fuck we were doing, but we sure as fuck did not know what we were doing. So yeah, I hope you I hope you got a few laughs from it. I hope you enjoyed it at least. I'm running on 38 minutes now, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut this one here. But anyway, I enjoy anybody that stuck around, or I love anybody that stuck around and listened to this whole story. I promise. I am working really hard to try to make this podcast as best as it can be. Right now, I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm actually paying real physical money to have this podcast on the internet. I pay money every single month to have it the way I have it on YouTube, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, which is just iTunes, and all those other directories. So I got an idea though. I got some stickers that I'm gonna have coming in the mail soon. Basically just a bunch of stickers with my logo and podcast name on it. And I want to give those out to a bunch of people to help me slap them all around town to try to spread the word. So if you ever are feeling generous, I would not be mad if you wanted to share my podcast on social media or tell your friends about it. Whatever you want to do to try to help me promote my podcast, I would really appreciate it. Trying to get this thing to a really good spot, to where we're getting decent downloads, decent views, and just decent engagement in general. So I'm gonna need some help. And I'm reaching out to my people, my people. Anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go. I hope you're enjoying this life that we're living. Do not take it for granted. You never know when it's gonna be your last day. So make sure that if today is your last day, you have no fucking regrets. I love the fuck out of you guys. Until next time, peace the fuck out.